The story begins with a DEA convoy cutting through the streets of Tijuana, Mexico sirens, adrenaline, and somehow, a heated debate about baby names. Gigandet's Anthony Vanawan is pitching ideas to his partner Juan while they race toward an armed drug raid. Anthony Hopkins, Mark Antony, Juan Jr., every suggestion gets shot down. Nothing sets the mood for a federal operation quite like arguing about whether Hannibal Lecter is a good namesake for a newborn. Juan is wrapping up his career in the field desk job incoming, baby on the way. Anthony keeps him back with the perimeter team. Inside, the raid goes smooth until Anthony corners Zico Rafael Cabrera's stone-cold enforcer who slips free in the chaos and exits through the building. Outside, Juan is mid-call with his wife when Zico emerges. He doesn't hesitate. One shot and Juan is gone. Anthony rushes out and finds his partner on the ground. The baby Juan was expecting will never know his father. The only thing they pulled from the raid is a Turk named Polat. They snagged by accident and a grief Anthony won't be putting down anytime soon. On the other side of Tijuana, the movie introduces Nick. Tom Berenger's Nick Falconi lives on a yacht in the marina, and his days follow an ironclad routine. Wake up, use the bathroom, breakfast, nap, cocktail. He has reduced retirement to its essential elements. Not every government assassin finds inner peace in their 70s. This one absolutely nailed it. His old friend Frank LaRusso, played by Jeff Fahey, arrives unannounced and blows the entire system up. The government needs Nick back. 3 black warrants, 3 men who need to disappear before something irreversible happens. There's $600,000 in the bag, $200,000 per target, and a shrinking clock. Nick says no. He's old, retired, done. Then Frankie mentions that certain events from 25 years ago in Miami might become public if Nick declines. Nick stares at him for a long second. "You son of a bitch," he says, and takes the file. Some retirements never quite stick. The list has 3 names. Mustafar, who has been feeding new allies into terror networks. Polat, the same Turk the DEA just arrested. And headlining the whole operation, Hussein bin Fari, played by Hani al-Naimi, a wealthy cultural philanthropist who has been building something catastrophic for 25 years, and who Nick has history with that goes all the way back to Miami. Back at the DEA office, Polat has discovered that leverage works both ways. He demands immunity, a lawyer in Texas, and before he gives up a single name, a luxury hotel room with sparkling water, Perrier or Pellegrino, nothing from the tap. The man was just arrested on warrants from the FBI, Interpol, Europol, and Turkish intelligence, and he is negotiating a spa package. You have to admire the nerve, even if you absolutely should not. Anthony's boss sees the grief in his eyes and tries to bench him, suggests he take some time off to process. Anthony refuses. The only thing that could make this worse is sitting at home thinking about it. The boss relents. Some arguments you already know you're going to lose before they start. What Polat does eventually give up is significant. Hussein bin Fari has a machine, not a bomb, something more precise and more terrifying. A quantum device capable of collapsing the entire eastern U.S. power grid in a single strike. He smuggled the components in through a shell company called San Mar, disguised as imported chandeliers. A chandelier that turns off a country. Bin Fari really committed to the theme. Anthony's boss parks him on surveillance across from Vista Parallax, a high-end VIP lounge Bin Fari frequents regularly. Meanwhile, Nick prepares his first hit. He switches license plates, packs his rifle into a golf bag, and arrives at Polat's hotel looking exactly like a retiree on a beach vacation. Before setting up on a nearby rooftop, he stops a street vendor. "Do you have coconut water?" The vendor offers him a Coco Loco cream of coconut, tequila, and vodka. Nick considers it for half a second. All before noon? Then orders one anyway. The man is about to commit a precision assassination, and he is making sure he stays properly refreshed. This is what mastery looks like. He sets up across the street. When Anthony walks Polat out to the transport vehicle, a single crack cuts through the air. The shot is immaculate. Polat drops. Anthony's only witness, his entire next lead gone in under a second. He sprints toward the shot, climbs to the empty roof, descends, and walks straight past an old man calmly carrying a golf bag on his way out. The most dangerous assassin in the city just strolled through a perimeter of federal agents because he looks like someone who missed his tea time. Nobody checks twice. With no witness left, Anthony pivots to the Parallax itself. Surveillance has video inside, but no audio from the VIP section. He needs someone who can get in. At a market near the venue, he spots Mina, played by Helena Harrow, a cook who works the Parallax kitchen. He approaches, explains the stakes in appropriately vague federal terms, and asks her to plant a listening device under the VIP table. She almost refuses, then offers to do it in exchange for a green card so she can enroll at the CIA. Anthony nearly stops breathing. She means the Culinary Institute of America in New York. He recovers. He owes her one. They have a deal. Mina plants the bug clean, and the DEA finally gets ears inside. What they hear changes everything. Binfari meets with Fernando, the engineer building the device, and they run a live test. That night, the entire city of Tijuana goes dark. Twice. Fernando calls it a warm-up. The full eastern U.S. grid will cost $50 million and take one more day to calibrate. Binfari agrees without blinking. Anthony listens to the playback and understands exactly how much time they do not have. Nick moves on the Parallax the same night. He enters through the back, works through the building with the quiet efficiency of someone who has been doing this for decades, and clears the VIP level, but Binfari and Fernando are already gone out a rear exit, seconds ahead. Anthony hears the gunfire through the live feed and sprints over. He arrives to find a room full of bodies, 0 prisoners, and no explanation. The ghost struck again, vanished, and left Anthony with nothing but questions and a crime scene to explain to his captain. Rashida Binfari, Hussein's niece, played by Sarah Sayed, hosts a gala at the Bismillah Cultural Center, a showcase of the family's public philanthropic face. Hussein is the event's headline donor, giving a warm speech about culture and community, while several of his men are currently very dead, and the DEA is closing in. The range on this man. Anthony infiltrates it and works the room, angling toward Rashida for any lead on her uncle. She's gracious, composed, and gives him nothing. What neither of them knows is that Hussein is watching the security feed live, Zico standing right beside him. Zico clocks Anthony immediately outside the warehouse, outside the Parallax. Hussein's orders come in 2 words: handle it. In the crowd, Anthony spots the old man again, the tourist, the golf bag, the ghost. At every scene, every time, he knows. He grabs Mina, who is catering the gala kitchen, and they tail Nick's Jeep through the dark streets with the headlights off. Mina, who now considers herself a working confidential informant, suggests she can attach a GPS tracker to the tire, like in Breaking Bad. She has seen 1 episode. Anthony tells her no. She is already mentally filing her field report. Nick's marina. Anthony approaches the boat, badge drawn. Nick turns around. Hi, Dad. That sits in the air for a long moment. Nick is Anthony's biological father. He vanished when Anthony was a child, right after Anthony's mother was killed, and now they are standing on a dock in Tijuana because the same man they are both hunting led them to each other. Nick explains it all, plainly. He was a black warrant operator for a shadow division of the NSA. A hit went catastrophically wrong. He filled a hotel room with carbon monoxide, and it killed a man's wife, children, and father. The target wasn't even home. The survivor came for Nick. The man who murdered Anthony's mother was never after her. She was collateral in a revenge operation aimed at Nick. He disappeared not out of cowardice but calculation. As long as Anthony had a father, Anthony had a target. Nick even attended Anthony's high school graduation, sat at the table right next to him in a restaurant afterward, watched him eat pizza in his graduation robes, said nothing, and left. That was the last time he saw him. Until now. Anthony doesn't forgive him on the spot. That takes more than a boat and a confession, but he understands the weight of what Nick carried. Before Anthony leaves, Nick hands him a phone. 1 button, direct line. If you need the ghost, he says, call this number. They don't get to plan the next step. Zico moves first. He grabs Mina and uses her as leverage. Binfari is offering $1 million for Nick's location, and Zico wants it entirely for himself. He arrives alone, which is his first strategic error, and by the end of the confrontation he is out of bullets and announces this out loud. The man engineered a hostage situation, showed up without backup, and then voluntarily disclosed that he was disarmed. A bold approach from someone with nowhere left to go. Nick and Anthony offer him a deal. Lead them to Binfari. He keeps the $1 million. Zico, staring at a return to El Hongo prison as his only alternative, agrees. On Binfari's side, everything is collapsing. Fernando has been caught, the device seized and dismantled by the bomb squad at the cultural center. Binfari gets Nick on the phone and believes he is holding leverage. He's pieced together that Anthony is Nick's son. Anthony Vanowen is your son? He says, genuinely surprised. Like this information was supposed to unlock something that it is not going to unlock. Nick doesn't respond. He just needed the call long enough to confirm the coordinates Zico's phone already showed. They move. Nick cuts the power to Bin Fari's compound and enters through the dark. Anthony frees himself. They sweep the space together, a father and son with 20 years of nothing between them and 48 hours to figure out how to function as a unit. Somehow it works. Captain Escalante, played by Rodrigo Abed, arrives with units and finds the compound finished and the threat gone. The quantum device is already destroyed. Zico, zip-tied, left for the authorities to find. The epilogue is a beach barbecue. Juan's widow is there holding her newborn. Anthony had tracked down $1 million life insurance policy Juan had quietly taken out years ago and made sure every dollar reached her. Nobody knew the policy existed. The baby laughs at the water, growing up in a decent neighborhood because of a man he will never meet and one who refused to let it go. Mina is there. Nick is there, not a ghost for once, just a man at a party. Frankie pulls up in a boat anchored just offshore. He is still wearing his suit. At a beach barbecue. On a boat. This man has exactly one setting and it is dressed for a funeral. There is a new black warrant in San Diego. Anthony looks at Nick. Nick looks at the water. "Count me in," Anthony says. The legend continues. Directed by Tibor Takac, the filmmaker behind the 1987 cult horror film The Gate, who spent the following decades largely directing for the Hallmark Channel before returning to genre territory here. Black Warrant was produced by Premier Entertainment Group and Bano Films, and acquired by Saban Films for distribution across North America, the UK, Spain, Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. Shot entirely on location in Tijuana, Mexico, it hit limited theaters and simultaneous VOD on December 9, 2022, the same date as Darren Aronofsky's The Whale and Antoine Fuqua's Emancipation, which is like opening a taco stand next to two Michelin-starred restaurants on the same block. No box office figures were publicly tracked, which tells you most of what you need to know. Rotten Tomatoes gave it 20% from 5 critics with a 3.4 average rating. IMDb landed at 4.8 out of 10. No production budget was ever disclosed. What the film carries quietly is the weight of a specific career. Berenger's identity as a long-range government killer was forged in Platoon in 1986. His Oscar-nominated Sergeant Barnes built a template that the Sniper franchise and a string of DTV action films kept alive for 30 years. Black Warrant leans into all of that deliberately. And for Berenger and Fahey, this was their third collaboration in 4 years, following American Dresser in 2018 and A Tale of Two Guns in 2022. The film ends with a clear promise of a sequel which, given a 20% score on Rotten Tomatoes, was either an admirable statement of confidence or simply very committed optimism. Either way, some Black Warrants never quite close.